All right, welcome. We are going to allow a few more moments for people to join in. How's it going, bro? I'm glad you made it in. How are things out in Georgia? Real good talking with you earlier. Glad you and the family are doing well. The kingdom. All right, so thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for joining this discussion. And it is such, while we allow a few more moments for people to join in, it is such a beautiful day. It's gorgeous. It almost makes you forget that there's a pandemic going on. But hopefully everyone is doing well. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. And for those of you who are watching live, as well as those of you who may be watching the replay of this, I pray that you are blessed by this discussion. So let me give you a little backstory. Me and my brother in Christ, Boomer, every Wednesday we are out in front of the church reaching out to the students who pass the church on their way home from school, and we offer prayer, water, and snacks. And a lot of the prayer requests were for excuse me, I'm sorry. A lot of the prayer requests were for, sorry about this, y'all. A lot of the prayer requests were for their families and for, the situation at home. A lot of the kids were facing a lot of abuse at home. And so we would pray with them, and, and so we remained in touch with them. And it was unfortunate that one of the kids got shot. I'm not sure if those who are watching, you may have heard of that. One of the kids got shot here in front of the church while we are out there. So, but in the midst of his passing, it drew like 100 youth to the church, which was awesome. So like we had the youth came, and had a car wash. Proceeds went to the young man's funeral. And then we had a big game night / barbecue night for the youth. And it was truly awesome. And so that was, I want to say it's been a month or two now since the shooting. But now that there's this pandemic, so a lot of those students who were experiencing abuse on the home front, they, had their outlets. They would go to the mall, they go to the roller rink, they go to the bowling alley, they would go to their friend's house, they go to the park, they go somewhere to escape what's happening at home. But now, unfortunately, because of this pandemic, they don't have the same access to what they once had. And so now they're stuck at home in front of the abuse. And, I understand people are concerned about the economy. People are concerned about their jobs. But as we were talking with our pastor yesterday, it's like, what about the kids? What about, those, because we had shared with him each week the number of kids who not only were asking for prayer, but more specifically who were asking for prayer because they didn't feel safe one place that they should feel safe at. They did not feel safe at home. They did not feel safe because lots of times there was abuse, whether it was emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, or physical abuse. There was some type of abuse going on. And so obviously now with this pandemic, they have to stay home. And so Boomer and Patrick, they really kicked things off last night with the discussion on Instagram. Awesome fire conversation. And so basically I'm just continuing the conversation. And for those of you, definitely feel free to add in your input about what do you feel we can do. I mean, I know there's, and on that note, I just want to say that it's not that we have to stop social distancing. That's not it. We have to stop we have to stop coming together physically, but that does not mean we have to stop coming together socially. And we can still come together socially on the various platforms of social media. We can still come together. Of course, there's phone, there's technology, there's Skype, there's video, there's numerous ways to still come together in a social way via technology and social media. So even though you may feel alone, know that you are not alone. What's up, Jeff? How is it going? Welcome. And so it was really troubling, like last night as we discussed it, that a lot of the youth, the students who face abuse and who would have the outlet to go to, they don't have that outlet. So now they're stuck at home. So one thing I've mentioned, or one thing I've started doing and shared with others is we have like a big list of the youth who came to the church right after the shooting. And so I make it a point to reach out to several of the youth several times during the week. And they really appreciate it. When, sometimes it can be easy, especially from a child's perspective, it can be easy to be like, adults are always busy. They don't care about me. They're not, wondering how I am. But so I've been making it an intentional point to reach out to them. They can't go to school. Lots of times there was a outlet. For me, not saying there was abuse in the home, but just when I need some fresh air, I look forward to going to school just because all my friends were there. It's just something about being outside, being around people your own age. It's just a great feeling when whether Friday night hit up the skating ring or hit up the bowling alley, or Saturday hit up the mall. And like I remember growing up when I was with my dad, like I'd get up early Saturday morning, do my chores, eat a good breakfast, and then by 10 in the morning I'd be out and I'd be gone all day on my bike, just playing, just riding around, and I wouldn't come back home till like maybe 5 o'clock that evening. And as they say, the good old days. So I just want you guys to definitely chime in and to share what do your perspective on things about the youth who do not have a way to escape. And if you guys have any ideas, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section. And on that note, so obviously because of this pandemic, it's causing a lot of tension. There's tension between married couples because a lot of times, in a lot of different instances, instead of one spouse being, at work or gone out the house for 8 hours, now they're home and being in one another's face all day and all night. That can be a little, cause a little tension. And then with summer coming up, like today was like 88 degrees outside. So there's a lot for these youth. There's tension, whatever problems there were before in the home. And now that it's starting to get warmer, it's not going to help the situation, because obviously when people, especially in the summer months, you start to get cranky because it's so hot. And especially if this, with this quarantine still going on, you're basically inside all day. And it's like, I really feel not just for people, but really feel for the youth, for the students, because lots of times they don't have a voice, or for some reason they have a voice, but they're afraid to use it because they think adults will be judgmental or critical towards them. And so if you guys have any ideas, definitely feel free to share. And my thing is, I want to, we're in the process of talking with the mayor about allowing the church to be a safe place where still physical distancing can be maintained, but a safe place for the youth to come, especially who are not safe at home. I mean, and just not come for any type of service or anything like that. Just to come experience the love of God. Just be able to chill, relax in a safe place and experience the love of God. And just to get away from home, because these are some rough times. It's a rough time for the average person. So you add an abusive type of atmosphere and real hot weather on top of that. That is not a good combination. So, while you guys are getting your thoughts together, if any of you know of any youth or teen or anyone who may be dealing with any type of abuse, the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 800-799-7233. Again, it is 800-799-7233. And so one thing is that I've been encouraging the youth to do is to come, and we're doing projects like the room I'm sitting in, the young adults. We have an awesome young adult crew here at our church. We have great solidarity. We're solid in the word, on fire for God, and just walking in purpose. And so what you see in this room, we all came together and painted this room. And let you see. So I know it's still some work to do, but it's come a long way from where it was. But we all came together and painted this room. And it's the new youth and young adult room where, youth and young adults could come chill, relax, and really be transparent with one another, and just help build one another up, And so back when 9/11 happened, when the World Trade Centers were bombed, there were these two firefighters. Thanks. There are these two firefighters who were buried underneath the rubble for a week. And after the week, they were rescued. And they shared how they made it through. And they shared that they kept talking to one another. They kept encouraging one another. They kept lifting one another up. They kept building one another up. And when one of them started to doubt about them being rescued, the other one will pull one another up. So as we likewise go through this and make it through this, because we will make it through this, we too must continue to talk to one another. We too must continue to encourage one another. We too must continue to build one another up. And when we see one, our brother or sister or someone we know try to slip into the hole of depression, we got to grab them and no, we got this, And this is one thing I always mention is in the midst of everything that's going on, there's still purpose attached to our lives. As I've shared before, God doesn't just keep waking us up morning after morning just because he has nothing better to do, just because he's not sitting in heaven like, oh, well, got nothing else to do. Guess I'm going to wake them up. It's like, no, our God is an intentional God who wakes us up on purpose, in purpose, for a purpose. So just simply being able to wake up each morning is another reminder that there's still purpose attached. It's another reminder that there's still something that God has for us to do here on earth. So instead of us counting the days, it's important to make our days count. Let me say that again. Instead of us counting our days, it's important to make our days count. And so with every life I come in contact with every life, every person I come in contact with, I try to make an intentional effort to not just reach out to them, but to follow up with them. I'll reach out to them during the week, ask them how they're doing. And then I've made a habit every time I meet someone, try to find out their birthday, and then on their birthday I'll send out a happy birthday text. And it may seem small, but it goes a long way. Man, they remember my birthday, that is pretty awesome. So as it says in the word, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And with all these youth, it's not like we had to go anywhere. So the church is in between a lot of the apartments where they live and the high schools and junior high. So it's like God was literally sending the harvest by here. So we were out there reaching out to them, and we were offering them something that they needed, which was beyond surface stuff. Snacks and water is great, but what's even more important is prayer. What's even more important is letting a teenager and a young person know that they don't have to be saved a certain number of years before they can talk to God. They don't have to be or have a title in the church before talking to God, because God's love will meet them right where they are. God's love will meet them right there in the gang. God's love will meet them right there in the crack house. God's love will meet them right there in the strip club. God's love will meet them right there in the alcohol aisle as they're purchasing alcohol. Well, no matter where they are, the love of God is reckless. There's no limits to it. It'll seep into the deep deserts of your life and pull you out and reach out to you. And the love of God is just awesome like that. You know that song, love lifted me when I was down and out. Love lifted me. I'm no singer, but you get it. But and that's the most important thing. As we were out there, we weren't even we are mentioning the church because the church was right here, but it's not like we are trying to get them to come to service, because we were just trying to introduce them to the love of God. And when you really break it down, the church, the building is not the church. The building is not the church. When Jesus comes back in the twinkling of an eye, he's not coming back for four walls, a ceiling, and a ceiling. He's coming back for us, his bride, his people. So the church is the building is not the church. So, and Jesus didn't wait for people to come to him. He went to where the people were. So likewise, as the hands and feet of Jesus, we can't just sit around in the pews waiting. Oh, well, they need to come on to church. It's like, no, we as the body of Christ need to bring the church to them. We are the church, so we need to bring Jesus to wherever the people are. We need to bring Jesus to wherever the people are, because, it's just like when you got introduced to God, you may not have gone to church, but someone introduced you to Jesus right where you are. They met you right where you at. And so that's what's so important with these young people. So especially during this pandemic, I've made an extra effort to reach out to these young people because again, they have no outlets. Their home front in their homes is real stressful. They used to be able to go to the movies, roller skating ring, go to their friend's house to the park, but now all these things are closed down and they're just stuck. And not every young person knows how to tap into their inner gifting. You know, hey, cuz, how you doing? Love you too. So sometimes, excuse me, it's great when a young person knows how to tap into their gifting, whether it's playing the piano or writing or drawing, and it takes their mind off of what's going on. But a lot of young people don't know how to tap into. It's like having a gold chest, a treasure chest inside of you, but the young people don't know how to tap into the treasure in them. So they're just like walking around, and so especially the ones who have to deal with abuse in the home, it is sad. So again, if you know any young people who it's getting hot outside, which adds to the tension of having to be stuck inside all day, and summer is quickly approaching. And normally, what happens when summer approaches? That's right, you got bonfires, beach volleyball games, days at the beach. You got birthday parties, graduations. You got family reunions. You got people traveling all over the place. Summer's a time to do stuff, but now there's this thing going around. So obviously we can't do summer. We can't do life as we normally would. Not saying we can't do life. We just a minor adjustment, So it's real important also that we are able to take off our lens, because as long as we look at things through our lens, all we are able to see is what's before us. You turn on the TV in the morning, talking about the pandemic. Turn on the TV in the afternoon, talking about the pandemic. Turn on the TV at night, they're talking about the pandemic. And it's like, as I shared, hey cuz, how you doing? Good to see you. As I shared a couple days ago, you can't be watching the news all day and all night. It'll get to you. Watching the news is not going to help the pandemic. You already know what's going on. You already know how it's affecting people. You know what to do to stay safe. So it's like, you got to give yourself a break sometime. Turn on, watch a funny movie or something. Turn on some cartoons. Do something creative. Cook, go cook or bake something, turn on some music and dance. When was the last time you just danced in your house? But the news is good, but personally, after like 20 minutes of for me, after 20 minutes, that's it. That's it till the next day. I just 20 minutes. I gotta guard my spirit for real. And so, for those of you who just joined, we are just talking about how in a lot of teenagers' homes, there was some type of abuse, and they had an outlet to go to. They could go to the movies, the park, the roller skating ring, their friend's house, something, or even school. But now they can't even go to school. Now they can't even go to, their outlets are cut off because of this virus, because of this pandemic. So they're stuck at home with this abuse, which definitely is not cool. And again, with the rising temperatures, it does not help. So again, if you know anyone who is experiencing any type of violence in their home, the hotline number is 800-799-7233. That is 800-799-7233. Let's see. I'm looking at comments. Amen. Brother Adam Perry said you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Start feeding that horse salt, and eventually he will drink. We need to be the salt of the earth and make people thirsty for God's word. Yes, we have to rehydrate their hope. It's like, you know how it is when you drink soda? I mean, soda's good, but I've noticed, I'm not sure if it's the same for you guys, but drinking soda makes me more thirsty. Drinking soda makes me more thirsty. So why drink something that's going to make me more thirsty if I could drink something and like not be thirsty again? So it's the same with God. It's like when we it's like drawing from God's well. His well never runs dry. So he said he would supply all our needs. So as long as we go to his well for all of our needs, his well never runs dry. And so therefore we shall not lack for anything. And so it's about having the right perspective. And again, being able to see beyond what you see. And how are you guys doing? I know this was mainly about the youth and during this pandemic, but how are you guys doing? Another thing, it's sad because of course people are concerned about the economy, but getting started, but I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that song. What is it called? I Feel Like a Motherless Child. I don't know the exact lyrics to it, but when I think of that song, and I forget offhand who sings it, when I think of that song, I feel like a motherless child. I think of a little child or a little toddler trying to get someone's attention, but no one notices or is paying attention to the toddler because they're so busy with their own lives that they don't pay attention. And it's like, a lot of times I sense that young people are crying out, but no one is hearing them. There's this story. This guy had some fish. He had this huge aquarium in his house with all these wonderful, beautiful tropical fish. And one night he went to bed. And the next morning he woke up and all the fish in his big aquarium were floating at the top. And he realized that he forgot to turn the thermostat down. And he asked the strangest question. He asked, I wonder if the fish cried out in the night, but no one heard them. He said, I wonder if the fish are crying out in the night, but no one heard them. Just marinate on that for a little bit. Makes me think, I wonder if there's, a lot of youth who are crying out for help, who are crying out for someone's attention, but no one's hearing them. And at that thought, it's not a good thought. In my mind, what good is going through life if you're not experiencing life? What good is going through life if you are not experiencing life? And part of experiencing life is reaching out. Life isn't just about what you can get, but it's about reaching out. If you guys ever look at the cross, it's up and down, and it's horizontal and vertical. And I believe there's something special about that. So like our salvation is not, our walk with God is not just about us and God. It's not just up and down, but it's about us reaching out to our brother, us reaching out to our sister as well. So yeah, I just want to leave you guys with that, and definitely keep in prayer the young people who don't have an outlet, and definitely remember, don't watch the news all day. Turn on some music. Whether you got some some gospel or some Zydeco For those of you, family in Louisiana, just something that makes you happy. You know, there's enough stuff in the world to make you down and have you walking around here like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, but it's like, no, you know. So like the other night at 11 o'clock at night, there are these birds chirping real loud. Like, I mean, they're like really singing. And it's like, it's in the middle of the night. And it was just a reminder that, yeah, it's a reminder that if the birds can chirp in the middle of the night, then how much joy should we have? The bird who is caged up, he's not focused on the cage he is around, but his joy is not dependent on the bars that are around him. But in spite of him being caged up, he continues to sing. And as he sings, he reminds himself that technically he is not caged up because he still has joy. So likewise, everything that's going on in the world may seem like a big cage around you. So in one sense, you may feel caged up. But as long as you remember where your joy comes from, as long as you remember where your peace comes from, technically you are not caged up. So I just want to leave you guys with that. Again, any questions or encouragement, just leave it in the inbox. Love you guys all. Definitely appreciate you. Let's see, we got my mom, Renee Reiser. We got Adam Perry, my cousin Murray Hardy, Lulu. We got Priscilla Lopez. We got my other cousin, Shannon Porter. I miss you, cuz. For real, I do. Once this is over, I need to plan a trip out there, for real talk. But you guys try to make the best of not just your life and your days, but try to what did Maya Angelou said? She said, be the rainbow in someone else's cloud. That's what she said, be the rainbow in someone else's cloud. So whether it's calling someone you haven't talked to in a while, texting someone, writing someone a good old-fashioned letter, right? It's like, you know, maybe before you were like, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. Won't he do it? Now you got all the time in the world to write a good old-fashioned letter, work on that thing you want to work on. I've been good. Still staying productive. I started my next book, so I'm definitely excited about that. Working on some other projects and just, of course, developing my podcast and just doing some things, trying to still tap into every gifting in me. When I go to heaven, I don't want to go to heaven all full, be like, oh, I'm full, I still got all these gifts I never tapped into. I want to go to heaven like depleted, like, whew, I hadn't tapped into everything God placed in me. And they say the world's richest place is a cemetery because it's full of all the people who never tapped into their $1 million ideas. Well, bump that. I refuse to be part of that number. I'm trying to tap into every gifting, every gold mine that God has placed in me. So reading the comments, yes, my mom said, keep praying for our youth. Definitely. Yes, much love to you, Shannon. Yep, Lulu, keep praying for us. Yes, gumbo, crawfish, ready for you. That's what I'm talking about. That's love. That is love right there. That's godly. That's love right there. Yes, indeed. Man. Soon, cuz, soon. But for now, you guys take care. And remember, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. As always, this is BDP, Brian David Porter, living in purpose, on purpose, and intentionally. Until next time, you guys be blessed. and be intentional in all you do. All right.